This is a CBS2 News Update. I'm Chris Wragge. Polls are open for primary day in New York, and all eyes are on the Democratic governor's race. Governor Andrew Cuomo vying for a third term against challenger Cynthia Nixon. We're also keeping a close eye on the four-way Democratic contest for Attorney General. The candidates include Fordham law professor Zephyr Teachout, New York City public advocate Letitia James, U.S. Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney, and former Hillary Clinton advisor Leisha Eve. Now, the winner will take on Republican Keith Wofford in the general election. Polling sites in our area close at 9 p.m. Stay with CBS2 for all of the election results on air and here on CBSNewYork.com. Well, a total of 53 defendants will be in court today, including 7 NYPD officers charged in connection with an alleged gambling and prostitution ring. Investigators say it was based in Brooklyn and Queens. CBS2's Natalie Dudridge has more on the details of the investigation.
Police sources say the Internal Affairs Bureau investigation began in 2015 after a tip was called in by another officer. Since then, the sources say thousands of hours of surveillance of the officers allegedly involved were collected, as well as wiretaps. Those arrested are accused of providing protection for prostitution and gambling locations, including in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, and Jackson Heights, Queens, and giving them a heads up about the investigations. Sources say of those arrested, a retired NYPD detective who was allegedly a major player in the ring, providing security at illicit locations. 2 other uniformed officers were put on modified desk duty, their guns and badges taken, including a detective from the 72nd Precinct who is being investigated but not charged. Police Commissioner James O'Neill released a statement that reads in part, "Today, those who swore an oath and then betrayed it have felt the consequences of that infidelity. The people of this department are rightly held to the highest standard, and should they fail to meet it, the penalty will be swift and severe."
An arraignment is scheduled later today for a man police say stabbed and killed a 16-year-old girl from Long Branch, New Jersey. Family members say Madison Wells was killed Saturday night at a relative's house by a boy she was dating. Police have arrested 20-year-old Brian Cordero Castro and charged him with murder. Sources say he was in the country illegally last night. Hundreds of Madison's classmates and teachers from Long Branch High School gathered to light candles and comfort her family. Well, police are looking for another person of interest in the killing of 15-year-old Junior Guzman Feliz in the Bronx. They want to question 20-year-old Frederick Then about the deadly June machete attack in the Belmont section. The NYPD says Junior was dragged out of a bodega and murdered by alleged gang members in a case of mistaken identity. So far, police have made 13 arrests in that case. A second NYPD and FDNY water rescue team is in Bushwick, Brooklyn, getting ready to head out to Raleigh, North Carolina to help with the aftermath of Hurricane Florence. Right now, the Category 2 hurricane is about 145 miles southeast of Wilmington, North Carolina. The outer bands of the storm are starting to reach the Carolinas, and the storm is creating 83-foot high waves at sea. Roughly 10 million people in 3 states are under storm watches and warnings. Officials say time is now running out to evacuate safely. Hopefully people got out to safety before we're talking right now. We're going to take a look at the path of the storm and the weather in our area. And here's John with your forecast. John, it is closing in.
It is. And, you know, you talk about that 83-foot wave height. Now, that will translate to a storm surge of maybe 10 to 15 feet, on average 13. Again, we're dealing with a lot of different facets to this storm. Chris noted that the outer bands are already pushing in. You see the red box. That's a tornado watch. The concern is going to be all that rotation and energy can translate to tornadoes, and we're already dealing with some of the heavy rain. Winds are down a bit. It's at 105. There's your forward speed, now at 10 miles an hour. That has slowed down. You're going to see it make a bit of a dip, and then it heads back up. Our concern in our area would be few remnants possible in our forecast next week. But the problem is going to be all of this energy, particularly in that right quarter, where you're going to see the big surge of wind and wave energy coming on board as a 2. That's why there are tropical storm warnings and hurricane warnings. That means could see winds at 74 miles an hour, even greater right when it comes on board, and over 2 feet of rain with this. So flooding is going to be a big concern. In our area, a little bit of wet weather possible today, not like yesterday. And then we see brighter skies for the weekend. Chris?
Okay, Johnny, thanks so much. Well, President Trump is creating waves on social media this morning with a set of tweets disputing the death toll from Hurricane Maria. Earlier, he said, quote, 3,000 people did not die in the 2 hurricanes that hit Puerto Rico. When I left the island after the storm had hit, they had anywhere from 6 to 18 deaths. As time went by, it did not go up by much. Then, a long time later, they started to report really large numbers like 3,000. The president sent out another tweet, quote, saying, "This was done by the Democrats in order to make me look as bad as possible when I was successfully raising billions of dollars to help rebuild Puerto Rico. If a person died for any reason like old age, just add them onto the list. Bad politics. I love Puerto Rico." According to an independent analysis commissioned by the governor of Puerto Rico and conducted by researchers at George Washington University, an estimated 2,975 more deaths than the average were recorded for the month after that storm. That's compared to the government's first estimates of 64 deaths. The study found that elderly and those in low-income areas were at greatest risk as parts of the island remained without power and electricity for months after the storm. A troubling video is making the rounds on social media that appears to show a teacher slacking off in class. It was allegedly shot in the struggling Hempstead School District, which we have covered extensively here at CBS2. Carolyn Gussoff has more.
Hempstead High School at its finest. Teachers on the phone.
This video, viewed more than 50,000 times, purports to show a Hempstead High School classroom. An adult seen chatting on the phone while a student complains they're not learning.
Nothing on the board. We copied that down, as you can see. Why you should be on the phone for an hour? For an hour. We have not done no work.
The play-by-play provided by a Facebook user, eliciting enraged comments from parents like this one.
They feel cheated. They feel betrayed. I believe the students, they deserve better.
Peggy Perkins says it's the latest outrage in a district with one of the lowest graduation rates in the nation.
Well, my teachers, they teach, and yeah.
So you're surprised by that?
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Look at the class. Everybody sleep. Sleep. Heads down.
The incident is, according to the district, under investigation, and the administration will take appropriate actions. The paramount concern is that all our students receive quality instruction in a safe learning environment.
I feel that the leadership has to be aware of what's going on in real time.
This former school board member sent the video to the state education commissioner, who's placed a distinguished educator in Hempstead as a monitor.
What good is it to in essence, watch a train wreck, right, instead of actually taking action and pulling the brakes?
The state-appointed distinguished educator, aware of the incident, deferred comment to district officials who say they will update the community when the investigation is complete. In Hempstead, Long Island, Carolyn Gussoff, CBS 2 News.
CBS2 has been following the turmoil in the Hempstead School District. There was a link to our documentary, 37%, on CBSNewYork.com. Now to a commuter alert. Get ready for a big change on the Garden State Parkway. Officials say that they're removing exact change lanes from all main toll plazas starting this month. They're being replaced with full service or easy pass lanes. However, coin machines at the parkway's entry and exit ramps will remain in place. Officials say the machines have become too expensive and too difficult to maintain. Well, in Queens, some Long Island Railroad platforms have a bit of a new look. The platforms at Forest Hills and Kew Gardens have been extended and are now 50% longer. Instead of just 4 train cars being able to pull up to the platform, 6 cars can now fit. Forest Hills and Kew Gardens are among the LIRR's busiest stations. Officials say they hope the extra room will result in less congestion and fewer train delays. A health alert this morning. The Food and Drug Administration announcing a crackdown on e-cigarettes to keep them out of the hands of children. The FDA says teenage use has reached epidemic levels. E-cigarettes are now the most used tobacco product among teens, mostly because of the variety of flavors. The FDNY has given the 5 largest e-cigarette makers 60 days to produce plans to address the problem. Otherwise, they risk having the flavored products pulled off the market. That is your CBS2 News Update. I'm Chris Wragge. Please follow me at Chris Wragge, and we will see you later on this afternoon and at CBS2 News at noon.